Just a few weeks ago, I was complaining about a heat wave, a record-breaking one in Western Canada. Now, we're windy as fuck. The weather is schizophrenic, just like this world and its conditions have always been. So, I've been off schedule with my breakdancing choreography, but this week I'll catch up with 2 new top rock patterns, again, on the spot, matched to a random song from YouTube's free library. In reviewing my breakdancing from before, I know I have to improve on counting beats live to a new song, because I'm assuming that's actually what b-boys, b-girls do when they're competing in such competitions as Red Bull. Okay. Maybe they actually know what songs the DJ is going to play, but I doubt it, so I'll practice this way. In any case, doing that makes you more versatile so that you could bust out these breakdancing moves wherever you are. Right. As if we can go anywhere. We're just all messed up in this world. Should I start? Yes, I'll start first. Whether that was a slog. I really need to work on my beat counting. In fact, I actually only choreographed by beats maybe in the first couple of dances that I choreographed. The rest of the time I've been doing it more by feel, because counting beats to me takes the fun out of it, because it becomes more scientific, more technical, and less creative. That's just my opinion. But this sore excuse of a performance just now is an example of how I really need to improve my on-the-spot beat counting. I wonder what I'll do exactly. Part of the problem this year is that my attention's being split in a number of different directions. I've already mentioned the rockumentary, which is just hours and hours and hours of my footage from adventures. And just to give an idea, the amount of space is between 10 and 14 terabytes. Just watching through clips, one scrub through takes probably weeks to months. So I've actually done one initial scrub through probably ending a couple of months ago, but now I'm in the process of actually refining the footage. With refining, it's very painstakingly taking notes at timestamps and also chunking out 30-second highlights according to different themes. The themes are actually very reminiscent of my YouTube channel. So technically speaking, the YouTube channel, which started in 2016, is my beautiful mess of a creative endeavor. To be completely honest, I've always known that I'd probably be headed in this direction, because why else would I have been so diligent in volume shooting? The thing is that when you're on an adventure, there's always a delicate balance. How much time and energy do you spend enjoying? How much time and energy do you spend documenting? For me, I think I've captured the right balance for the first part of my adventure career. The documenting actually comes in handy when you want to do a creative project, but also when you want to remind yourself during a shitty pandemic year what you've accomplished. In many ways, the pandemic was a forced break from the more time-consuming adventures that would take me away from concerted effort. Even though learning to breakdance and dance has been an adventure, it's been something that I could interleave with my creativity. First of all, choreographing in itself helped me access a different level of creativity that basically leverages on the best of all of the previous forms of creativity that I've done. Then, starting in 2021, I've been channeling a lot of my effort into videography and creating a rockumentary series that never would have come in its more finessed form unless I had a forced break away from adventure. Because the reality is, with the adventures I do, my life is in my own hands, and I have to manage time, energy, money, all of these things to ensure that I have a good time, to enjoy the experience. In reviewing, I think that fine balance I've mentioned between capturing your moments and experiencing them is a delicate one, and I honestly think overall I've kept the balance well, because now when reviewing my footage, I think for the lack of real shot cinematography planning, I have mostly good, useful footage. I managed that while also still enjoying the moment and experience. So whatever I did before is actually something I'm going to continue doing, but now that I've been creating the rockumentary, I think I have a better sense of what types of shots I want. I can be more cognizant. Now, obviously, just being deliberate and knowing what shots you want, you can actually get pretty close when you're on location. I would avoid the tendency towards perfection. I'd just rather have the shot than not. But in filming, I've realized actually one of the most functional cameras that I have in my arsenal is actually a 360 VR. I took a bit of a risk on that Middle East trip that included my 100th country of Egypt. The problem with the 360 VR is that while shooting, you just have to trust that the camera is going to capture things. In theory it should, because it's either 360 or 180. Then the hard work comes in post-production, where you would do your 2D punch-outs, your 1080 punch-outs. Now, of course, while on a trip, unless you're really diligent and you become more of a filmographer, videographer, filmmaker than an adventurer, you're really gonna just have to hope that everything turns out well, and indeed it did. So at first I was angry because I thought that I had missed out on a lot of highlights. Then I realized that I basically left it to that cam, and that cam pulled through in more ways than one, to the point where I think in a time-limited situation, 360 VR is the way to go. In adventure situations where you need, for example, waterproofness in scuba diving or others, then an action cam is the way to go. The 50x optical zoom is the way to go for animals and animal safari. So unfortunately, part of the reason why I have the breadth of footage is because I have several cameras to choose from. I'm still even considered an amateur. I know some people, famous adventure vloggers like Lost LeBlanc, Drew Binsky, Lexi Limitless, have actual professional grade cameras and crews. So it is what it is. That's why I have to reflect in managing both things, because often those adventure vloggers have commented on the fact that in creating their documentaries and adventure content, they do sometimes struggle to absorb and appreciate the experience live. So it is what it is. Am I going to go back to dancing? Oh, the dancing was so rough today, but too bad, I've caught up. It is what it is. am I doing? What am I doing? Am I performing? Am I practicing? Am I going to downgrade this to a practice? I have my pattern set. I'm just having trouble executing it. This means that all of the practice that I've done before drilling is important, because right now I have an 8 pattern, which is double the normal pattern that I would do, and I'm just really confusing myself. It's supposed to be relatively simple, in a sense that none of them are extremely difficult, but for some reason, me trying to dance to this beat is really tough. Okay, so I'm gonna try again. I think I hopefully have it this time. What is that? Just, who knows? Part of why I still record on tough days is because that's true to the artistic journey. That's true to what the creative process is. If you want perfection and a finessed product, you know by now that that's someone else. I'm just authentic to the raw experience. And overall, I think on the long enough time scale, the rockumentary is going to end up to my liking, because I took my time and I did it the way that made sense. The YouTube channel helped me organize themes and collate the best highlights in some respects, but even the YouTube channel only has maybe at most 10% of the highlights that I've experienced. Now, part of making the rockumentary is an exercise in gratitude, especially if your life has been oriented to being adventurous for about a decade in my case. You can forget all the cool ass shit that you've done. Some days, darker days, pandemic days, you need to remind yourself and have a positive token, a positive thing to look forward to or to reminisce on. Before, when I was adventuring, I'd always know that my next adventure was coming very shortly after. In fact, I'd usually have adventures roughly thought out up to 6 months in advance. Of course, I'm still a last-minute planner. That was how budget adventuring worked. You get the best deals if you can slot yourself into last-minute cancellations. Last-minute cancellations are different than long-term cancellations because long-term, people have plenty of time to find people to slot in. Short-term cancellations, it's hard. People are scrambling. And I, with my free lifestyle, slotted right in. But now things have changed because how are we supposed to look forward in this crazy ass world? I still have to do a basic reimagining of my life. Did I just call it basic? I mean a top-down, bottom-up reimagining of my life. It's going to take me some time, and I'm feeling it. I'm really feeling it. Sometimes I just want to stop, but you know what? We're getting there slowly, hopefully, or we're just going to have to think new ways to solve problems. So far, the ways that I've solved them have been okay, but I'm probably getting to the point where I'm gonna have some plans. I've already mentioned several of those plans, and I'm just in the process of thinking about what to do. I'm getting there though. I really am. This is actually my preferred weather, although such a strong wind can throw me off my beat counting, but it's probably good. It's stoic philosophy. You have to perform regardless of all the environmental factors. I think that's what makes a great dancer, and it's what I'm aiming for, at the very least.